Hello everyone. I, Radhika, on behalf of EducoTrain, welcome you all to the EducoTrain platform. Firstly, I want to thank all the participants and the speaker present over here. Now I know all know what EducoTrain is. So we are on this platform today to learn about the critical thinking, and I'm sure that everyone knows what is critical thinking. But how it's impacting our students and how to develop it, we will get let to know today itself by Julie ma'am. Before introducing our speaker, I want to let you all to the Educo Train video how we develop. Main motive of our Educo Train is to develop the training solution for the teachers and to develop their skills according to the latest technologies. Now I want to introduce speaker of our today's session, Julie Dema. She is a biology faculty of a renowned CBSE School of Kolkata. She is an ex-faculty and academic head of various IIT medical institutions. She is an author, editor of several CBSE, ICSE science textbooks for different publications, house and SME and content developer at many other educational organizations. She is university rank holder and recipient of many prestigious scholarship, excellence award and other accolades for her excellent academic achievement in medical physiology. She has a specialization in immunology and microbiology, holds a certificate in molecular biology and biochemistry techniques in association with IIT Kharagpur. She is a winner of BITM lesson plan competition. She is better known as learning designer as she has conducted workshops, trainings for teachers across the country on latest teaching technique to keep up with the current demands of the learning teaching process and many other educational topics. So, are you all excited to learn? Yes, I'm too excited. So Julie ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Radhika, for this introduction. I would definitely, like to thank Educo Training, for giving me this opportunity to come to be a part of all of you, to talk and to speak something which is, very much relevant, in today's uh, times, you can say, in the developing times that we are all going through. Now, since I know all of you are teachers, those who have joined here, okay, and me being also in the field of teaching for so many years, this is just a learning session that we're going to conduct, that I'm going to conduct here right now. Is basically, on the topic, as you all know. And since here it's better that, we communicate in a uh, interactive way, in a better way, so that we develop certain skills and training and certain learning that we need to do. So I don't want any kind of passive listeners here. We won't be doing that. Okay, it's not that I will only speak and you will only listen. I just want some kind of interaction from all of you as well when we are conducting the session, because I need to know you better. Okay, then only it will help me to conduct the session well. Okay, so first and foremost, I think all of you are aware of critical thinking, right? But before we plunge into the topic, just let me ask you one thing. Just from your point of view, I just want to know, just drop in the chat box, that what does, any one word that implies critical thinking according to you. That critical thinking means, okay, just a one word or a line. Can I just, get, the messages in the chat box? Okay, design thinking. Fine, design thinking. Others, can I quickly, get it from you all, the messages? Out of box, storytelling, how and why, evaluation. Okay, design, evaluation again, analytical thoughts, inquisitiveness. Yes, reading between the lines. Okay, fine. Reasoning, analysis. Okay, fine. Thank you all for your, responses. That is absolutely true what you have, all come up with your answers. That critical thinking means, yes, these are certain, terms or terminology that we use when we are dealing with critical thinking. Now, today's topic is very important. Why? We all know, as parents, as teachers, as educators, we all know what is critical thinking and what is all about. But, it is very important for us to understand its importance in a student's life. Because, accordingly, we might have heard of critical thinking in schools. People always tell us, you need to develop critical thinking, you need to do this, you need to do that. But actually, when we are doing these things, we don't understand its importance. Why am I doing it for my students? That is very, very important. Because in past years, if I talk about, we used to mostly give importance to mechanical learning. I think mechanical learning means, also all of you know, that it is basically rote memory. Okay, learning by heart. Okay, there were books. Okay, and we used to mark these, that only this line is supposed to be studied. You're supposed to study only this line, you're supposed to study only this paragraph. So this way, I used to see teachers doing that to children. But now, as developing days have come, we are changing, the learning is changing, so we have to prioritize on certain things. So we have to, you know begin with developing more important skills in our children, because ultimately these children, after class 12, they're going to face the real world. And when they're going to face the real world, okay, we have to make them prepared during the school days. That is what should be the motto of all teachers, of all educators, of parents. That when my child or when the student is facing the real world, he or she is able to deal with any kind of problem, with any kind of situation that he or she come across. So I need to make him or her prepared that way. So for that preparation, we need to develop this important skill in each and every student through our way of teaching, through our way of questioning, through our way of, educating them. So, this is very, very important, that we teachers need to imply this to our students. And before that, before it comes to the implication of the teachers to the students, teachers must possess a clear idea about critical thinking. Critical thinking term might be very common to all of us. Okay, from the school, it has told me to develop critical thinking, so I will be doing it. Oh, the CBSE board wants us to develop critical thinking, so I will do it. I have to do it. But we don't understand the actual meaning of it. That what is the importance of it? How will I do it? Or what impact will it create on my children? So first and very important thing is that educators must possess a clear definition of what critical thinking is. So let us first find out, these are the terms that we use, and many of you have given me, it's a very nice, interactive thing that you have given me the answers. First of all, it's a creative thinking, okay, purposeful thinking, strategic thinking, intellectual thinking, problem solving, creativity, good judgment, reflective thinking. So there are a number of, the list will go on if I keep on adding. Okay, but these are the basic things that is defining critical thinking. A thinking that will help me to solve problems, a thinking that is analytical, a thinking that will help me to judge. There are so many situations that we come in life, okay, we come across in life, where we need to be a good judge. So critical thinkers are good judge. They can judge any situation in a very, very reflective and positive way. Now, these are the areas where we know that critical thinking is the definition all about and things like that. Now, the main important part is that why we need to teach critical thinking to our students, okay, and how it will impact their achievement. Now, here, when I mean achievement, I don't mean academic achievement only, achievement throughout life. It can be professional achievement, it can be personal achievement, it can be academic achievement, any kind of achievement throughout their life. Okay. So, first and foremost, let us move on to the importance of critical thinking. These are the various, impact or various skills that are developed in any person who develops critical thinking. Because I think all of us need to remember one thing, that students of today are the leaders of tomorrow. If I am creating them with all these things, I know that when they are going out and facing the real world, they can become a bright future for all of us. So, first and foremost, what impact does it create on students? It encourages curiosity. I think some of you, have mentioned inquisitiveness. Absolutely correct. It encourages curiosity. It makes a student think beyond. So we must give some application, some things to the students that will make them think beyond, not that marking, okay, this paragraph is only there in your book and you are supposed to study this, or this passage is only important, this function is only important of a particular topic or a particular structure. No, let them become more curious. They have to be curious. So critical thinking encourages curiosity, inquisitiveness. And remember, the moment anyone is curious, I, you, a child, anyone is curious, then only we start developing questions. If I'm not curious about something, then I will not develop any question. My mind will not start thinking in that way. Why is it happening? How is it happening? What would have happened if this is not there? Or suppose if I add this, what will happen? So these are some curious questions. Out of curiosity, we try to generate. Okay. This is because of critical thinking. So critical thinking encourages curiosity. It enhances creativity. Very, very important. Creative minds. In today's world, we need children with creative minds. There are so many business that are coming up. There are so many technologies that are coming up where we need young minds to be creative enough. More and more researches are happening. So we need young minds to be creative enough so that they can develop new things on their own. So it enhances curiosity, it enhances creativity. Because in every situation of life, we have to be creative. I have a problem, I have to be creative enough to solve that out. How do I do that? How do I tackle my problem? Reinforces problem solving ability. Very, very important. I have seen many kids who don't know the art of solving problem. And not only kids, I've seen with adults. Even how many of us have an instant, attitude towards problem solving? We often get puzzled when we have problems in our life. We often get depressed. We are anxious. We develop from anxiety because we can't solve a problem, because we can't find a solution to it. And at times, what happens? Because of that, we become stressed out. Because of that, we don't want to face that problem. So problem solving skill is very much, developed. If I develop critical thinking in my children, they will be able to analyze the problem. They will be able to develop strategies. They will be able to design solutions for themselves. They will become independent. That is something very, very important. Once Einstein in his quote, he said that if I'm getting 1 hour to solve a problem, I solve the problem in 5 minutes, but I spend 55 minutes in finding the way to solve that problem. That is something very, very important. The process of solving problem. That is very, very important in today's life, in today's time that we are spending. And in this way, they create a methodological way to solve problems. Next, improve comprehensive abilities. Very, very important. They try to understand on their own. They try to figure out. That is very, very important in today's children to develop. That what is it? What have I got? Now let me figure out. Now let me think over it. Comprehensive abilities. Skill for life. If you develop critical thinking in a child, you're not only developing that, but you're developing many more skills with it. Let us see what more skills are we developing in a child if I am developing critical thinking. Reasoning skills, analytical thinking. These are the things I got in some of the the messages that you people have given in the chat box. Evaluative skills, logical thinking, organizational and planning skills. Okay, if a child grows up and becomes an entrepreneur, a big businessman, he will develop that skill of organizational. He will develop a planning skill, language skill, self-reflective capacity. Many of our students don't have this capacity. They are doing a mistake, but they don't understand what is the mistake all about, why they have done it, how they can solve it. No self-reflection, because we are not letting them, actually think. So we need to develop the thinking skill to make them have develop the self-reflective capacity. Observational skills, very, very important. We need to observe and then give our conclusion, then give our inference. Open-mindedness, questioning ability, decision making. So these are the overall life skills that is developed if I develop critical thinking in any of our students, in any one. That is something very important. Next, academic achievement. That is, of course, important. If I talk about only academics, yes, if I develop critical thinking, it will overall enhance. The child can relate theoretical, practical knowledge. Okay, not only rote memory, not only rote learning. So the academic overall will definitely be improved of a child if the child is, promoted, or if the child is, made to think critically. Teamwork. Critical thinking enhances teamwork. When a student is working in a team and there are 5 members in a team and 5 of them are giving their views, 5 of them are giving their, opinions. So it is very important we develop critical thinking that time. Why? Because we get to hear 5 different opinions. We get to understand which one is correct, which one is wrong. Okay, what way to interpret that particular opinion. So these are all helping me to develop, helping a child to develop team spirit, teamwork, and not only that, critical thinking. Rather than, landing into arguments, they can handle situations in a better way. In a team, definitely there will be opinions which are not, according to my will, which are according to my will. So if the ones which are not according to my will, how will I handle those? How will I manage my friend who is saying something different or opposing, which I am not, liking it? So how do I manage that? So these are all developed because of critical thinking. Decision making, very, very important. We all have to take certain decisions in life throughout, being an adult, being a student, every time. So how well am I a decision maker? How well can I make the decision? Take a good judgment, take a good, thinking strategy and formulate my solution and decision making skill into it. That again is a ability if I'm a critical thinker. So there are a number of things. These are, the impact that are generally being created. They are affecting a student if I'm developing critical thinking. Now, one thing I would like to ask all of you, that how many of you, actually have done certain things in your classroom or in your teaching pattern, okay, which might have, given importance to any of these, keeping any of these in mind you have done? Yes, no, or you are, in the process. Anyone would like to, can, just unmute yourself and share any kind of incidents that, okay, I've done this and, this have created this in my classroom. Anyone? Okay, I very often use inferential questions. Yes, many times you have done that. Yes. Okay, any further, answers coming up? Please, I said it's just an interaction that we are doing. I think it's better the more, we open up and we are here in a forum where we are sharing our, experiences. Encourage curiosity by predicting what's going to happen next. Yes, absolutely correct. So, at times, definitely we do these things in our classrooms to generate these certain kind of skills that we want in our children to do. Now, after this, once we know now what is critical thinking and what is its importance, why am I, what impact is it creating, or what impact will it create in my students' life? Now comes, the one of the most important parameters, that how I can develop it. I think all of us are curious to know, of course, that obviously all of us know. I'm not saying that none of us know how to develop or how to create critical thinking in our classroom, because we are all teachers and we all have been doing this. But I just would like to share some of the strategies with all of you, that now how to develop critical thinking, how we can do this in our classroom, that will help us to include, to actually make these skills visible in our children, to make our students have these skills. So now you're going to quickly, go to the next part of the session, that is how to develop critical thinking, the strategies. So this is overall the critical thinking skills that we have. We have already discussed analysis, creativity, problem solving, open-mindedness, communication, decision making, and lot more skills, right? So now quickly, we're going to see, because we have only half an hour left, and let me see how far we can go about it. The strategies to develop critical thinking. The first and foremost important thing I would love to ask all of you, that do we as teachers give enough time to our children to think? Be honest. Be honest. Yes, no, maybe be honest in the chat box. Do we actually give enough time for our children to think? Okay, Alok Singh says no. Someone says yes. Come on, some more. Just yes, no. Just think. This is again, you are thinking critically, okay? Just whether are you giving enough chances or enough time for your children to think? I've got only two response. Not much, not really. Online classes, actually not much. Yes and no, okay. But if I, portion completion is task. Very good, very important thing. Yes, more on learning and thinking than assessing. Yes, I do online class, not much. Yes. Now, if I come to the real scenario, first and foremost, we teachers face a lot of constraints when we are teaching. I think all of you will agree to this. And I've got some of the messages from all of you. First and foremost, in this era, if I talk of this pandemic, okay, we are in online classes where the time is reduced, number one. We are more, we are more planning into this kind of situation, that we need to be, finishing our syllabus fast. That is another important factor. We get very less time. Half of the time goes in, adjusting the internet and making the children, turn their cameras on and scolding and shouting and all these things. We have many, many limitations. And even in classes, when we had normal classes, going from one class to another, 5 minutes before I have to end my class because I have to go to that building to teach, or I have to go to the next class. So there are a number of, limitations. We have this project to complete in time. We have this month to finish off this parameter. We have this assessment to do. After this chapter, we have many more chapters to do. So we are all, the truth of teaching is that we are all under limitations always. And we have a certain deadline, right? Okay, this 3 months, you have to complete this chapter. You have to complete one art integrated project. You have to complete this project. You have to complete that assessment, this test, that test, and you have to do this, everything. And there are a whole lot of lists. Okay, we have a lot of challenges, and ultimately, we don't get enough time to give the children to think. Suppose we ask a question, and within 1 minute, I am giving the answer to the children. Why? Because I know if I wait for 5 minutes more, my lesson time will go away. Am I correct? Do we really feel this? Do we really experience this in our classroom? Okay, you cannot answer. Okay, So let me give you the answer, because I have no time. I have a next period to go. Okay, I have to finish a portion which I've already planned. And if the child is taking too much time to think, I'm running short of that time. So these are the truth that we all face, right? So, but within this also, we have to develop one thing in mind, that we need to give our children to think. If I'm not giving my students to think, how will they develop the skill of thinking? If I'm imposing them only on rote learning, okay, this is the chapter I've done, do this, do this, do this, and I don't give any kind of a big question mark in front of them so that they can reflect, they can think over it. So this is something very, very important, that I know we face a lot of constraint, and here that is where I'm going to, discuss some quick, some, simple steps where we can do that along with the activities that we are doing in class, so that, simultaneously it is done in two ways. That my time is also saved, I'm doing an activity also, and at the same time I am generating critical thinking also to my students. So that is where, I've come up with very simple strategies to do that, because we are all in the same boat and we are all facing this problem, right? Okay. First and foremost, do we actually ask enough questions to our students? I'm coming back to the same thing. Do we ask enough questions to the students? Do we give them enough time? We don't. How much pause time do I give to my students? I don't. I ask them, fine, you don't know. Okay, I only tell the answer. Or I shift to the next student. Okay, you don't know. Okay, next girl, next boy, next student. We do that. I'm stopping that child over there, not letting him think, and I'm moving on to the other child. Right? So now let us quickly, we'll see the first and foremost strategy, that is questioning. So when we are questioning in a class, what kind of questions, can we ask our students, so that, the question asking will also be done as a part of my teaching job. Okay, as a teacher. At the same time, the questioning will trigger their thinking skill. So first of all, open-ended question. These are generally questions that will require answers which are more elaborative answers, open-ended, not a very close-ended question. Okay, like, who do you get inspired from? Why do you get inspired from? These are very casual, simple, open-ended questions, right? Okay. Next is ask questions which are result-based. Okay, these type of questions help in revealing the personal trait of a student. Like, I just want to know the personal trait. Like, say, how will you explain multiplication or division to a 5-year-old student? Now, when I ask this to the student, I will get to know his personal trait. He will try to analyze, he will try to explain me the answer, reflecting some of his own personal skills. That, okay, I will do this to explain this to a 5-year-old student, or I will do this to do this. So while he's doing that, he will definitely, reveal his personal trait while he's doing that. Okay. Next type of question that we can ask is, which are reflective in nature, where they will reflect something, where they will think, like, do you think there was a better way of accomplishing the task? Or how will you utilize this knowledge in future? So where they get some time to reflect on the topic, what they have done, they analyze that, what personally they have gained, from that particular experience, and then they will share that. So that is basically some kind of reflection that they are going to do, reflective in nature. Next, we have structured and organized question, a very, very structured form of question. This is basically very much experimental or science based. If I say I make them do an experiment and I don't ask them to reflect on that, okay, what will you gain after doing the experiment? What philosophical thought will you have? All those things I'm not asking. I will ask a very structured question. What was the procedure that you followed? Why did you add this particular chemical here? What would have happened if you have not added this particular stain? Or what would have happened if you have taken this particular lens in your experiment? So very crisp, structured, organized question that will again help them to, think critically, right? Like, what are the important points of a particular topic? What will be the order of the execution of this process? Or I give them some raw materials and I tell you, how will you arrange these raw materials according to the work that you will do in sequence? Okay, now first I'll take this material, then I'll do this, then I'll do that. So here they're not reflecting anything. It's not even an open-ended question. So here it's a very structured question, a very sequential question that, okay, I'm going to take this, ma'am, and I'm going to do this procedure. A very straightforward, organized, structured question. So these are the ways and types of questioning in our daily classroom we can do, and we can generate critical thinking in them. Question and question. One important thing that we must keep in mind, keep on questioning your students. The more you question, the more you get things out of their mind. Now, whenever you're asking them question, please, whenever they're giving them you the answer, make sure don't ask, like, why are you saying this? Why did you say this? Don't say that. You just say what makes you say that. And whenever you're saying what makes you say that, they will come up with their thought. They will come up with what you have taught, or where is the fault. They will tell you whatever is there. Suppose you ask them what is a cell, and they will say this is this. Then you don't say, okay, why do you say this? Why are you saying this? Don't say this type of questions. Say what makes you say that. Whenever you use the word makes you say that, they will come up that, okay, ma'am, this is the feature. So this is the definition of cell. Again, ask them what makes you say that. So the moment you ask them that way, that what makes you say that, that gives you an idea, a very important idea, that they will explain you in such a way which will reflect what you have taught, where is the fault, and how they have understood that. So always use the word what makes you say that, rather than just asking them, why are you saying this? The moment you say, why are you saying this, some student becomes very much conscious. Is it I'm wrong? Or is it I'm right? Why ma'am is saying that? Why are you saying this? So that why are you saying that, you can modify into what makes you say that. So it becomes very much easier. Next skill is that listening. A very, very important part. We teachers need to listen. Again, I'll come to the constraint part. Since lack of time, we don't have that also. Because of lack of time, we don't get enough time to listen to our children, what they are saying. Sometimes children come up with their own answers, one beautifully framed answer, but we don't have time to listen to that. We are more concerned, okay, I've told you that answer, you please write that. Don't tell me anything else. I don't have so much of time. This is again a very negative aspect of all of us. We must listen. We must listen. That is something very, very important. Next is KWL skill. Know, K for know, W for what I want to know, and L for learned. This is something, a very, very important thing. I'll share a chart with you of the KWL skill. This is what you can plan out to the children. You can make them, you can ask them to make a chart, okay? And this chart will be divided into three columns, where first is what I know. Second is what I want to know. And third is what I learned. This is something very, very important, which will help them to think critically. Say any topic you take up, say any history topic, any geography topic, any maths topic, any science topic. Tell the child that you please write down what you know about that topic. I think a 8th standard child, a 6th standard child must have some previous knowledge of it. It cannot happen that the child doesn't know this word at all, or never have come across this word at all. Even if it is, just tell them to, think, trigger their thinking skill, and write what they know first. Second comes the importance of what I want to know. Now, this is what I know. Now, ma'am, I'm attending your class. I'm doing this chapter. Now, I will list down what I want to know from this chapter, what I want to know from you as a teacher. And after the chapter gets over, tell them to fill the last column, what they have learned. So this KWL skill is very, very important, what we can do for all our chapters. That, starting of the chapter, that, okay, today I'll start, say, photosynthesis. If obviously I'm a bio teacher, and if I'm to do a chapter, say, photosynthesis. And I tell my children that, okay, you list down what you know about photosynthesis. You must have done that in class 6, class 5, class 7. Please write that, what you know. So they will trigger, they will drill their mind out, and they will figure out what they know. Next, they will find out what they want to know. Now, when they will figure out what they want to know, again, they will think critically. That, okay, I know this, but I don't know the reaction. So I want to know the reaction. Even if I know the reaction, I don't know the mechanism of the process. How does it happen? So I want to know that. And let the chapter proceed. And at the end, ask them what they have learned. So that way, again, they will critically think and figure out what they have learned. The next is documentation. Very, very important. We obviously give our student the questions, the project work, the activities and everything. Here, keep one thing in mind. The answer is not important that much. The process is very important. Enhances creativity. Suppose you give a project to a child and the child will come out with a project after 1 week. Every child will come up with a project, but everyone's project will be different because everyone will, put some effort, put some thinking, different thinking in their project. So what matters most is that how they are doing that project. You give a project where they will think more, where they will critically analyze the topic and try to do the procedure in a such a way where the thinking part is more rather than just copy pasting or cutting pictures and giving something else. So that remember, the project will anyway come out to be good one, but what matters most is the process of making it. That is something very, very important. How much thought they have given in that project making, that is important. How much creativity they have done, how much creative work they have done, that is something very, very important. So these documentations are important. Peer discussion, this again we can do in our classroom. Divide the class in groups, make them into different teams. When we discuss that teamwork, a previous slide, that how it impacts a student's life, we have discussed that as well, that yes, collaboration, reflective thinking on what others say, these are all important in peer discussion. That is again important. Make small groups and tell them a topic to work on and let them think over that. So when 5 people are thinking, that is again critical thinking. When each of them are, adjusting, judging each other's view, each other's comments, each other process, and ultimately presenting it to you. Because before they present it to you, they need to think over that how will I present it to ma'am? 5 different opinions come, and 5 of them will work together. Think critically to present in a common forum to you as a teacher. So that is again important, very important, okay, to develop these skills. So these are all, again, as I said, we are time bound. So when are we planning activities, we have to plan in this way. We have to follow the KWL skill. We have to follow the peer discussion matter rather than giving that, okay, you go and make a PPT at home. Rather than doing that, let us give something collaborative. Let us give something which they will do it in a group, in a teamwork, which will not only develop team spirit, but respecting, judging, opinion, difference between facts and opinion. They can differentiate between that. Debating, give them debating in classroom, where they will come up with their own thoughts, with their own reflective thoughts, with their ideas. And the other members who is listening to the previous child's debate can again think on that issue and reflect that what he or she can say next. So these are some of the activities that we can do. Now coming to one of the most important activity for us, pedagogy. Okay, I think all of us will agree to this. We need to design a good lesson plan. That is something very, very important. Our lesson plan needs to speak. We have time constraints. So I cannot do anything extra out of that time. I can't have school 7 days in a week. I can't do that. So I have to manage that 5 days only. So how do I do that? I have to plan effective lesson plan that everything is under the same umbrella. Rubrics. Please add rubrics when you are making lesson plan or pedagogy. Rubrics in such a manner that what is the outcome of this lesson plan? Divide the lesson plan in this. Okay, this part of my lesson will bring about this aspect. This part will bring about this aspect. So these are the ways how we need to design good lesson plans. So these are the design criteria which will help you to plan for a good lesson that creates students' need or interest to learn. Students need based lesson plan. Need-based lesson plan, that okay, every teacher have unique classes. So what does my class need? What does this 30 students, okay, need this year? Every year I don't get the same class 8 students, right? This year I might get a class 8 students of 30 different students. Next year I'll get another 30. Next year I'll get another 30. So every year I'm getting different 30 students. So that is again I have to modify my lesson plan. So teachers often keep a same lesson plan I've seen years after years. I think all of you will agree. Today I make the lesson, but I'm using that for last 10 years, or I will be using that for remaining 10 years in future. We cannot do that. We have to make a need-based lesson plan. This year, I'm catering to these 30 students, and these 30 students are different. Each and every student have a different learning capacity, learning skill. So I need to reframe my lesson plan according to the need and interest of my students. That is something very, very important. Be challenging. The lesson plan must be challenging. It should have a clear technical knowledge. It should include development of a product. It should co-design. It should give a chance of the students to co-design. I will make a lesson plan in such a manner, leave a gap, and let the students fill that gap. That is, again, I'm imposing critical thinking on them. It should deal with problems that can be looked at from different perspectives. It should leave room from unexpected. We at times keep a very rigid lesson plan. I will not go beyond my lesson plan only. This is what I've thought. I will be doing this activity only in class. If a student comes to me and say, ma'am, can we do the experiment in this way? Or can I do this? No, you will not do that. I have framed this in my lesson plan. I will only do that. We teachers at times becomes rigid. So we need to have a lesson plan. Obviously, we must keep room for the unexpected, for more challenges to come in, for more new things to come in. And let's keep on adding into that. Include space and time for students to reflect. Very, very important. I make a lesson plan which is too tight, too, time constraint, very limited time. I don't give any opportunity for my students to reflect back. That is not a good lesson plan. So very important, effective pedagogy is very, very important for all of us to, develop critical thinking in our students. Next is experiential learning. Experiential learning means that we learn from our experiences. Give the students a situation, a topic, anything. It can be inside the class, it can be in the school, it can be outside school. Second is ask them to reflect on that situation. Give them some time to reflect on that situation. You can give them any situation, any daily life situations, any chapter-based situations. Ask them to reflect on that. After they reflect on that, they try to generalize and try to abstract some kind of significance from it, some kind of top related things from it, like how it is done, what if, so what. So they are doing critical thinking. After they are reflecting, they try to analyze that, they try to generalize that, how, why, when, why this is happening, and things like that. After they are done with the critical thinking, now what? After they know how, why, when, they will do the critical action. They will do the critical action, and after they do that action, they will transfer that action, that knowledge, that experience, what they learned from the previous situation to the next situation. I give you a very simple example. Say stress management. Say a situation, a child is very stressed, blah, blah, blah. You give a story to the children. A child is stressed, a child is suffering from so and so thing, and you give them the situation. Let them reflect on that. Okay, the child is stressed. Okay, the child is facing so many problems. After that, they will try to analyze why. So they will analyze why the child is stressed, what is making the child stressed, why the child is developing these kind of situations. So they will think over. After they think over, they will try to come out with an action. They will try to come out with a solution that, okay, the child was stressed because of so reason. So the child can do this activities, can listen to music, can meet with friends, okay, can do cooking, can do drawing. These are the actions that the child can do to relieve her stress level. Now, once they do this entire case study, entire the entire analysis of the thing, they can use this experience in another situation. Whatever they have learned, whatever they have reflected, they can use the same thing in activity 2. And again, from activity 2, they will develop again new experiences, again new learning, which will they again be transferring it to activity 3. So this is nothing but experiential learning, what we learn from our experiences. Next, very important, avoid offering how to do it approaches. Don't tell them how to do, give them. Tell them you do it, you figure out. Every time we cannot spoon feed our children. Okay, you cannot do the answer, I'm telling you this answer. Oh, you don't know how to do this sums, I will tell you, you do this, use this formula, use this, use that, and you come out with the answers. No, we cannot do that. We have to avoid doing this, how to do it. Let them think. Let them figure out. If it's a maths, let them figure out which formula will fit in to do this maths properly. Usage of ICT creatively, that is again a part of the teachers. What we can do in our classroom, we can use technology in a very, very effective way, and we can also make the students use it. There are so many technological, apps are there, the techniques are there. We have Flipgrid, we have Padlet, we have Mentimeter, number of things are there where we can ask the students to make. Rather than making a PPT, tell them to use a Padlet to develop a topic. Rather than you making a quiz, tell them to make a quiz on Mentimeter. So they will think, they will try to figure out. So these are certain things that we can develop and we can help them to do that. Act as a facilitator, very, very important. Do not be dominating on your students. Act as a facilitator, help them to share knowledge. As I said in class, because of our time constraint, we don't have time to listen to them. We only give, okay, what we want. This is the answer you have to written, is there in the book, you write that much. We never allow students to come up with their own viewpoints, their own sharing of knowledge. So please do that. You have to be a facilitator. You have to help them to share the knowledge. Reading. Inculcate the habit of reading in your students. The moment they're reading, they're going in between the lines, they're studying, they're reading through, that develops their critical thinking. The 3 C's, we have to keep the 3 C's in mind: curiosity, concerned, and create. If I'm curious, I'm concerned about that particular thing. And if I'm concerned about that particular thing, I'll try to create something new about it. That is something we must keep, these 3 C's in our mind. Next, we move on to some of the thinking routines. This is something very, very important. This is again an activity based, which all of us can do while we are planning activities in classrooms. First of all, think, pair, share. This is something very important. Okay, we can do something very casually also when we're giving them projects and topics and everything. Think, pair, and share. So first I give a topic. I ask the child to think on her own. So it is a silent time to think about. Once she thinks, I pair the child with another child, where both of them, both the partners, will exchange their thoughts. Okay, I pair myself with another teacher and I say that, okay, I've thought in this 1 minute or 2 minutes, I've thought this. What have you thought? The other teacher will say, I have thought this. We are simply exchanging each other's thought. And once we are done, both of us now go and share that to the whole class. So think, pair, and share. So that is where, critical thinking develops. Think, puzzle, explore. You think on a topic. Okay, what do you think about this topic? You think over it. After, when you're thinking, you're puzzling yourself. There are questions that are coming to your mind as you're thinking. And as you get those puzzles and questions in your mind, you have to let them explore the puzzles. So give the children a topic and you say that, think over that topic. Whatever questions come in your mind, jot that down. Whatever is puzzling you in that particular topic, worrying you, whatever comes to mind, jot that down. After you have jot those things down, go and explore. Now is the time to go and explore. So think, puzzle, and explore. This is another thinking routine. KWL skill, I have already discussed. This is another one. See, think, and wonder. What do you see? That is very important. What do you think about that? And what does that make you wonder? What does it make you wonder? You give them any instrument, you give them any device, you give them any chemical. For science, I'm saying, you give them any numericals for particular, give them any situation. And ask them, what do you see in this particular graph? A graphical representation. You just tell them, what do you see in this particular graph? What do you think about it? And then what does it make you wonder in that graph? Maybe the shape of the graph can wonder you. And there you can think why the shape is a curved line, why the shape is a straight line, why the shape is a sigmoid, why the shape is a parabola, everything. Let them wonder why this is happening. Give them 2 graphs side by side and tell them, what do you see? What is the difference between these 2 graphs? Why this graph is a parabola, why this graph is something else? Let them wonder, let them think. This is where, rather than, just imposing the graph on them, okay, this is a graph, please learn it by heart, mug it up, and you put it in the paper. No, this is what we are not going to do to our students. This is where they will not develop critical thinking. Next is the exit tickets, which is very, very helpful in class. Exit tickets means you give the students a chance to utilize what they learned in a day. So today I teach 40 minutes. Just 2 minutes before I leave the class, I will tell them, I will just give a topic and I'll tell them what have you learned, or any one word that you have learned in the entire, or that is very much catchy or very much interesting or very much you were curious about in the entire lesson. Please do that. So that is your exit ticket to spark deep thinking. And once you get that exit ticket, you can tell them to rethink over that again. So we can do ticket in form like, say, big concept. Describe a major purpose, say, of a character or a subject from their own point of view. What's the problem? Today in your reading, say this and this happened. So brainstorm a list of 5 to 8 possible problems that could arise as a result of this occurrence. So you're reading a story to them. Just at the end, 5 minutes to tell them, okay, take up any character and you just write 2-3 lines about that. What made you understand in the topic, or what is catchy, or what way you understood, what is your perspective? Just tell them to think and write. Or if there is any science-based topic you're doing, any activity you're doing, just tell them that, brainstorm a bit more, and you write what problem could have arisen, if I don't use this chemical or anything else. So this is something very important about your, things. Next, we have choose a location. For geography teachers, you can say that choose a location on a map. We have discussed map pointing today, or we have done a area or anything that is related to the country, whatever we have done. Choose any location and you tell how the story or event will be different if you choose any other location. We can do that. So these are exit tickets. So exactly, even while leaving also, you are drilling their mind. Not just, okay, guys, the class is over. Please close your books. Please close your laptop. Good morning and thank you. No. While leaving also, give a small hint, give a small, a kind of, topic which you can see is very catchy and thing, and let them think over it. That will, we'll come back tomorrow. So today's character is this. Just 2 lines on that. Think over it. This is known as exit ticket. And tomorrow we'll catch up from that point of view, or tomorrow we'll catch up from that part. So that is something where we are giving them an opportunity to think while even we are leaving the class. Okay. Okay. Another very important thing, these are some of the games that, I would like to share with all of you. Since we don't have time now, otherwise I would have just, asked you all to, download the apps and play with me. These are something very interesting games which we can all do in class. First is the brain games. This brain game is actually consisting of 4, types. You can see here in the leaderboard and in the image, where you can categorize, you can choose any part of it and you can tell them to play. There are memory games. There are, like one word is given and how they can define that word, or maybe a situation is given and they need to input one word into that. There are a number of things. So you can just note it down. You can, in your free time, just go through it. These are all, there in the Google apps. You can download it and play yourself first. Very interesting, very nice, very, engaging, you can see. Students engaging in classroom. Rather than always, doing teaching and lessons all together, we can just, after the lesson is done, we can pick up with these things, okay? Brain-it-on is a physics puzzle. This is especially for physics teachers. I don't know any physics teacher is here or not. Is there any physics teacher here? Okay. If it is, it's a very good game for the physics puzzles. Okay, there are situations given and the child has to think analytically, how the ball has to move from here to here in order to make that particular line shift there, or, these kind of things. Logic Master 1, Mind Twist, that is also a very, very important thing. There are a number of things are there. Okay, yes, okay, fine. You have played this game, they are very helpful, yes. Neo K12, this is again very important thing, where this is something very interesting. Okay, now, if I have time, I will just show you. This is something like, you have the, say, a equation is given for any kind of science I'm talking of. Say chemical equation is given, photosynthesis equation is given, and the all are scattered here and there, and the student has to bring those equation, the reactants and the product and everything together, and they frame their own equations. Or the diagram is given, okay, and they are marked, and the list of words are given at the side. So you have to like drag and drop where it is applicable. So this is a stomach, this is a eye, this is a kidney, wherever it is there, you have to drag and drop accordingly. So these things we can tell them to do rather than giving a very boring kind of thing that please draw the digestive system in your biocopy. They don't enjoy doing that. I tell you, they don't enjoy doing that. It's the same old thing. It's the same old thing. If you really want them to learn digestive system, do this. Go to this Neo K12. You have the digestive system given. Okay. There you have the diagram given, the words given. They just have to, pull, drag it, and do the correct thing. And the points are given. If they are wrong, they will be directed over there that okay, it is wrong. Then they will choose something else. So these are some of the things that we can do to generate critical thinking in them. Okay, these are some of these two websites also. I'm giving it here. You can go through this, like teachthought.com, edtechreview.in. These are some of the websites where you get more and more, games where you can play with your children in classroom, online games, offline games. You can play in classroom. And I think any parent here, I think we are all teachers, of course. I think we are parents also here, I think, right? So how parents can do this at home, how we can as a parent, indulge critical thinking, teach critical thinking to our students. First and foremost, very important, critical thinking as a habit. Just like your muscles, this is something very important. Last, I would like to say, whatever we have discussed, this is not that we're going to do once in a year. This is not that we're going to do once in a week. Rather, we try to make all these things use every day. I'm not talking all the strategies will follow every day, but okay, let us do think, pair, share today. Let me play a brain game tomorrow. Let me do the diagram thing on the next day. This is something that we have to make a habit. Just like your muscles need exercise to develop and grow, so does your brain. If I have to develop critical thinking in my children, I cannot do these things once in a year or twice in a month or twice in a year. I have to make this a habit, a regular habit in my lesson plan. Then only it will happen. If I make my student do a think, pair, share today, and after 2 months, I again come back to them and say, okay, now let us do think, wonder, and see, think, wonder today, it will not affect them. Our brain needs to be drilled each and every day. It needs to be exercised. So these brain games are basically exercise of your brain. I need to think of a puzzle every day. Then only I can create it. I just cannot have it. This is something all of you make a point that please, we need to do this every day. If not every day, at least twice or thrice in a week. Okay, today I'm very busy. I have to complete the topic. Tomorrow, let me plan out something related to the topic based on any of these strategies. But remember, it's an exercise. We need to do that every day. Debate everything, provide access to diverse quality reading materials, practice, claim evidence reasoning, help them learn from everything, make critical thinking a game, what I said. We have to make everything according to their need-based, fun-based, which they will enjoy. Okay? Teach critical thinking as a mindset, explore the benefit. These are the 8 ways how parents at home also can develop critical thinking. School is important, but at home also, these teaching are also important to, build the students, to develop the students with enough critical thinking. So, these are certain things. Another very important thing, lastly, I would like to say, tell your students to frame questions. This is a very, very effective thing, which even I have tried in my own way in my classes, and it has come out to be a very good result. Rather than we are asking questions, that is fine. We have, at the end of the chapter, we have whole sort of questions at the back of the book, right? Tell them, let them do those questions. But you tell them, you choose any topic in the chapter, you take out 10 questions, make 10 questions out of that topic, and let's discuss in the classroom. This is a very important, a very interesting, you can say, exercise of the brain where they will think critically. Because it is believed that if I am not thorough with my concept, I will not be able to make questions out of it. Questions will only come to my mind if I'm thorough with something. So in order to make this another way of making them thorough with the concept, that tell them to frame their own questions. I often in my classroom, I create Jamboards and I just tell them that, you make questions, every one of you make questions, and you throw that question to your friend. Suppose I make a question, I said, okay, I throw this question to so and so of my friend and she will answer it for me. The other person does the same thing. So creating question, let them create question. One important thing, many psychologists have said that you can judge a person by the way they question rather than the way they answer. That is something very, very important. What is a cell? Everyone will answer. Let the child make a very interesting question on cell, or make the child very interesting question on, say, map pointing, or topo sheet, or geography, or history, or world war, anything. Let them come out. You will understand when they're finding, the questions out of a paragraph, they're again going into the deeper and deeper of that particular paragraph to frame questions. I think all of us teachers, I think we will all agree, we spend a lot of time in framing questions, don't we? By following Bloom's taxonomy. We just don't quickly give questions in the paper, do we? What is this? How is this? Okay, we don't. We frame, we drill our mind in setting up a paper, and it takes a lot of time to set a class 12 paper, 10 paper, 6 paper with different age group, with different subject, following Bloom's taxonomy, that how much percentage will be understanding, how much of it will be knowledge, how much of it will be application based, how much of it will be comprehension, skill based. So all these things we do follow. And when we are doing it, don't we think critically while making questions? We do. We again go back to the book. We again go through the book, no matter when we are teaching also. Apart from that, we obviously go back to the matter. And we think. And then we come out with good questions. Let them do the same thing. Do not rely that, okay, go to the end of the chapter, do all the questions that are there, and you are done. Don't do that. Tell them to frame 10 questions at least from each and every chapter. See how interesting students make questions. From my experience, I'm saying you. Some students come up with great questions. They can really frame questions well. They can really think critically well. And it will only happen if we give them opportunities in the classroom to do that. In the classroom to do that. It is we who have to give them the opportunity. We have to give them time to think. We have to give them pause time and create lessons and do certain things for them to think, because we ultimately have one goal. Till 12, they are in school where we are preparing them. After 12, they're going to face the real world. So I think all of us, as a parent, as a teachers, we all want our students to come out with very, very bright future and to have a very bright future throughout their life, whatever they do. And that is only possible because of critical thinking. So many things are coming up these days. Problem solving. Children don't have the skill of problem solving. One maths, they do it. One sum 5 times. 6th time, they will not do it. Why it's not happening? They close the book, they go on to the next sum. They close the book, they become anxious, anxiety, depressed. Nothing is happening. I cannot do. They don't think, sitting for 5 minutes, that let me find out some other strategy to do the sum. Who's going to help? We are going to help them. So it is a request to all of us, that these are some of the strategies, again, which I tried to share, because again, time constraint is a factor. It's a 1 hour session, of course, as there is always time constraint in every part of life. I think all of you will agree. Okay, whatever we do, otherwise, we could have done a bit more. Okay, I could have shown you some more videos and some more things where, things could have been done in class and all. But I hope this have helped you. I hope this we will follow as a teacher.
Good evening, ma'am. Can you share this slide to us?
Slide, okay, sure. I will send it to Radhika, and I think Radhika can, share it to all of you, so you can get it, all the facts and everything. Radhika, I just send you the slide. You can share it with the participants.
Sure, ma'am, sure.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for such a lovely, wonderful, and amazing session.
Thank you so much.
You clearly said that critical thinkers are a good judge. You clearly stated that why we need to teach critical thinking to our students, and very well explained about the importance of critical thinking. And you have taught us that students are the learner of tomorrow. Critical thinking encourages curiosity. It makes students think beyond out of box, enhances creativity. It improves comprehensive abilities, reinforces solving abilities, improve teamwork. And then you have said that yeah, teachers should ask open-ended questions to students and the questions which is reflective in nature from students. You have also explained us about the KWL skills, which is amazing one. And the importance related to children, you have said that don't spoon feed your children. Let the children figure out. Teachers should act as a facilitator. And then you have explained 3 Cs: curiosity, concern, and create. You focus on thinking routine that first we should think, pair, and then share. And it's a wonderful session, wonderful learning session for everyone. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Radhika. Thank you. Thank you, teachers, for your, participation. You were quite, active in the group. I can see, in the chat box. Thank you so much for that participant. That is again, needed, that questioning and that participating. That is something very, very important. Thank you all.